The wait is over और जिन्हें हम बहुत देर से सुनने के लिए आतुर हैं. So please put them together. जोरदार तालियों से स्वागत कीजिए देवेंद्र सुराना.
Thank you very much for having me here today. When Jitendra called me and said that I must talk to people from my village, from my place about thinking big and doing big rather than doing what we are doing. So I was just thinking that I should share what my thoughts are on this topic. We were just talking and everybody was saying things are going to change very, very fast. I think Sushil just said that. So I will just start with change. I think change is the only constant in life. Yeah. And you know the thing about change is that it is exponential. What I mean when I say exponential is that what change has happened in the last 50 years is going to happen in the next 10 years. Can you just change to the next slide? No, the previous one. Oh, that's not it. Okay. So come to the next one. So I'm giving you, when we are thinking big, let's think big. Let's think like Tatas and Birlas. How much time did it take for them to establish themselves in the world, in the country? It took them 3-4 generations. If you were born in 1950s and 60s, you couldn't think big. You had to be born big to be big. It took 3-4 generations for them to establish themselves in the country. Then came the era of Ambani. In one generation, he did what Tatas and Birlas did in 3 generations. Then came the period of Narayan Murthy. You know, for half his life he worked, and he still reached probably more than them in half his life. Then came Airtel. They did it in 10 years. Then came Flipkart. They did it in 3 years. And now, when you open the financial newspaper, every day you will see somebody who has made it big in 3 years, 2 years, 5 years. The message I want you to understand is today you don't need to be born big, just you need to dream big, have perseverance, have passion like all the speakers have said, and you can achieve what you want to achieve in 3 years. Is it clear? So, all of us here, if we have the right ideas and the right delivery, we can become big. We don't need any background anywhere. So, what I was saying, the change which has happened in the last 50 years is going to be the change in the last 10 years. You know, when I talk to a lot of businessmen, they keep complaining things are not as easy as it was before. There is more competition. There is more, everybody is trying to come into our business. And believe me, it will happen more. If you just imagine in 50 years what changes have happened. If you are doing business what you are doing 50 years back, would anybody survive in today's market? No way, right? The same thing is going to be true in 10 years. So what you are doing today in 10 years will be irrelevant. You just cannot do it. There will be so much more disruption which will happen that what is being done today will become irrelevant. Are people scared? A lot of people are scared. But I want the youngsters here to be excited. Because if 10 years everything is going to change, then I can do better than everybody sitting here on the dais. Because we probably have only 3 or 5 years ahead of you, not 30 years ahead. So all the youngsters here should be excited that in the next 5-10 years there is going to be so much opportunity that we can surpass anybody else. So I want you to take that message and please do not think that things are not good, complaining is never good. And one of the best things which I have seen in life, a person who is complaining is never successful. A successful person never complains. He takes action but never complains. So this is one thing which you have to understand. Take everything by its horns and go ahead and the world is yours. So I will talk about change in another way. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Hindu goddesses, all of us understand. So that's the reason I use these words. What does Durga stand for? Strength. Bal. So the era of Durga is over. It was an era before the First World War when the world was ruled. The world was ruled by Europe with the sheer brute strength of power. From the World War I to the now is the period of Lakshmi. So everything in today's world is ruled by Lakshmi. And most of us in this room are fortunate because we are Lakshmi Putra. We have money, and that's why we are lucky to be in the top echelons of society. But believe me, just like Durga is today irrelevant, today if somebody has power, somebody has strength, all he can be is a bouncer in a pub. Right? Tomorrow, Lakshmi will be equally bad. And people might not believe it today, but tomorrow Lakshmi will not be looked after so well as it is being today. So what do you need? And Lakshmi is the period when America ruled the world with the power of money. And now we are moving into an era of Saraswati. Saraswati is an era of knowledge, of studies, of innovation, and this is where the advantage lies with the Asians and especially the Indians. And the youngsters here need to understand the importance of knowledge. It's not bookish knowledge. Believe me, it's not just education which is going to get you there. You need to have innovation, you need to have creativity. So what the books are teaching is just the scratching of the whole surface. You need much more of that, but it is all Saraswati. And that is where you are going to do this. On a lighter vein, I'll just give you an example. 100 years back or 50 years back when my grandfather and grandmother met, you know what was the main thing they were looking for? Hatta katta the woman is also well built and therefore it's a good match. Last 50 years, well-settled family, so there it is. Today, what do you look maximum when you look for a match? You look at the education and the qualities of a human being. Whether he or she is well educated, what is the exposure they have, and like Nishita was saying, whether they have exposure outside, whether they are doing something else, those are the most important things. Just want to reinforce the point that today we need to think of Saraswati more than anything else in the world. And this is where I am going with the change which is happening in the world and which area the change is going. And this works everywhere, even in your business. Earlier, if you had power, you could hold on to everything. Then it came money. Money begets money. If you have money, you can make more money by money lending. All of our families made it big because of that. Tomorrow it is going to be only innovation and creativity. So you need to understand that, you need to work towards that and go on. And all the panelists before me, one thing which was common, all were very proud of being Jains. And why I am very proud of being a Jain? Next. You know what is the highest achievement in Jainism? Everybody knows, but you don't realize what it means. It is Keval Gyan. Not, Nirvan or Moksha or anything. It is Keval Gyan. Keval Gyan का मतलब क्या होता है? Keval Gyan, only knowledge. Our forefathers have said that only knowledge is important in life. It's not talking, it's good to do kriya, it is good to do samaya, it is good to do tapasya. But the end aim of all this is knowledge. You need to do adhyatma, you need to do thinking, and that's what is in our Jain religion. And that's why I am very proud to be a Jain, because it is talking about Keval Gyan so many years earlier. On this aside, I'll just give another example. When my daughter is going day after tomorrow back to her sasural, and as it is a wreath, we give seek. जो भी अपने घर में आता है उसको हम सीख देते हैं. क्या होता है, हम पैसे देते हैं, किसी को 10,000 देते हैं, किसी को 20,000 देते हैं. But you know what is the origin of this word seek? पहले जमाने में जब कोई अपने घर आता था तो हम उसको घर में 10-15 दिन रह के ये सिखाते थे कि कुछ काम कैसे किया जाए, इसलिए उसका वर्ड है सीख. हम उसको कुछ सिखाते थे ताकि वो अपने घर जाके फिर कुछ कमा सकता. अभी शॉर्टकट क्या है, पैसे लो, अभी हो गया था. Yeah, that is the importance of some of these words which we sometimes forget, which is there in our history. Okay, anyway, going on. I'll again talk a little more about change. You know, the biggest change in the world in the last 100 years is the population. The population of the world was just 1 billion, only 1 billion 100 years back. Today it is 7 to 7.5 billion people. In 100 years, we have grown more than 5,000 years of history. And not only we have grown, but each of us consumes so much more than our grandfathers. I mean, if you look at our parents, grandfathers, if they used to buy 2 clothes on Diwali, I don't know how many of the elders remember this. But that's how it used to be. You used to get 2 sets of clothes on Diwali and very little anywhere. Nowadays, it's probably 2 sets every week whenever you go out or something. It's not only that, in every way we are consuming so much more of the earth. One, the population has gone up 7 to 8 times and we are consuming 10 times the material which we used to consume 50 years or 100 years back. So we are taking out 50 to 80 times more material out of this earth and consuming it. And for the last 30-40 years, you would have heard that all resources will run out. We'll run out of petrol, will not have water to drink, will not have anything. Has it happened? It has not happened. Why? The question is why? Any answers? This is the answer. Human ingenuity, Saraswati. It has given us technology to make things better, smaller, cheaper. An air conditioner which I bought first time in 1982 was 40,000 rupees, a split AC. Today, after so many years, when inflation has gone up so much, it is still 40,000 rupees. A computer is cheaper. Some people here will know the value of computers have actually come down. It is happening because of this. Creativity, innovation, digitization, mobile, internet, email, e-commerce, AI. How many of you use ChatGPT and AI?
I was one of the first 5,000.
Okay, about 25%. So if you want to make it in the first page, Birla, Tata, Ambani and whatever, you know what you need to do? You need to create a word which will come on this page. Create a technology which everybody will use and it comes on this page and then you will be one of those. It's not a very big ask, but it's not easy as it. But the least which we can do, as all of us, is to follow the technology. It is available. We need to use technology in our daily lives to ensure that we are more productive. We can do more work in less time with less effort. So that is what we need to do as individuals, as companies, as families, to use technology which is there to become more productive. And this is the only reason why Earth has not run out of resources. Now I have talked about the history. What about the future? The 7 billion population, you will be surprised, will stagnate at 10 million in the next 50 years and then probably even come down. That means only in this 100 years which we have lived, the population has grown so fast. A lot of people don't believe me. I'll tell you one statistic which will surprise anybody. How many children were born in the year 1993 in India? Very few will know. I don't expect you to know also. I will tell you. It was 2.3 crore people. In India, in 1993, 2.3 crore people were born. How many people are born in this country in the last year? Between 2.3 and 2.4 crores. What I am trying to get is in the last 30 years, the growth rate in India in terms of number of people has stagnated. It has not grown by anything. What it means to each of your businesses, you should think. The population is growing only because of one reason, longevity. We are growing, living much longer than what our fathers and grandfathers used to live. Which means in future, instead of planning more businesses for kids, plan for elderly. Which also means that the consumption of materials out of this earth will slowly plateau down. The demand for materials on the earth, which have been growing like 60 times in 100 years, will plateau down to maybe another double time in the next 100 years. From 60 times to 2 times. The demand for material is not going to be infinite. So what happens? Our creativity, our growth, our innovation is continuing at the same pace. However, the demand for materials will come down. What does that mean? Moore's law of computing, many people would have heard. It means that the cost of computing is coming down by half every 18 months. The same thing will continue across industries. The cost of everything will become half by every 18 months. So what happens to us is we move to an era of surplus. Next. So what will happen is we move into an era of surplus. Everything in the earth will become surplus. Already all of us have a surplus of data in our hands. But believe me, everything in the world will become surplus. So don't think like my father used to think or I used to think that if I keep material under my pocket, I will make money by kala bazar. वो खत्म हो गया तो. If you keep material underground, you are going to lose value today. Because we are moving into an era of surplus. The cost of everything is going to come down. So that is the thing. And these are some of the examples which will show you what the surplus is happening. You know, Airbnb is a thing which converts any extra room into a hotel room. So everything is getting converted into hotel rooms, so that we have a surplus of rooms. YouTube, the amount of data which is available there. I'll give you one story. The Thai king went to Napoleon Bonaparte. The Thai king went to Napoleon Bonaparte so many years ago, and as it happens in those years, thousands of people went with him. So everybody was given food according to the stature in the vessel which was given. Some were given in gold, some was given in copper, some was given in silver, some were given in ceramic, some were given in earthenware. Do you know what the Thai king was given food in? You'll all be shocked to know. The Thai king was given food in an aluminum vessel. Aluminum is such a cheap vessel, but the Thai king was, Napoleon Bonaparte was so proud. Look, I've got a metal which is so thin, so light, and that was the first time aluminum was made. We all know now there is so much aluminum on earth, we just didn't know how to take it out of the earth. The same, because of technology, aluminum could be made, and because it was made and it was so light, it was more expensive than gold at that point of time. What I'm trying to get when I'm saying surplus, the biggest two shortages which we talk about, the biggest two shortages which we talk about on earth is, one is of energy and second is of water. Correct? You remember about 20 years back, we were talking about water is never going to be enough in the earth. And energy is going to run out and we will not have petrol for our cars, and what happened? Suddenly, in the last 10 years, we have seen from energy deficit state, we have become an energy surplus state. No, go back. So what has happened is, energy was always available. We get so much energy from the sun, which is enough for the entire earth in how much time? we get in half a day what we consume for the whole year. We get so much solar energy from the sun in half a day, which we cannot consume in the full year. Energy is not short. We just don't know how to use it. That's the reason I was talking about aluminum. Now we know how to use it, so energy will never be short. How much water do we use? How much water do we use every year? We use 0.3% of the water available. Not 5%, not 10%. 0.3% of water is enough for the whole world. It is just not in the form and place where it needs to be. But if energy becomes cheap, obviously water can be taken anywhere, like we do in Kanishwara, and it can be converted into any form, like they do the seawater. So shortages are past. Forget it. Don't ever plan your businesses around shortages. Plan it around surpluses. This is my mantra of success. You know, when I was in college, I took my MBA from IIM Bangalore, and my professor, you know, the oldest person who talked about the customer is Gandhi. He said, customer is the reason why you are surviving. So don't think you are more important than the customer. That was the first time somebody talked about customer. But when I was in college, they said the most important job of yours is to have customer satisfaction. When I finished college and came out, people started saying customer satisfaction is not enough. You have to, everybody is going to satisfy the customer. How will you separate yourself? You have to exceed what the customer wants and give more than what he wants to the customer. My mantra, this is what I have found. If you want to be successful in business today, make your customer lazy. Make your customer lazy. Don't make him do any work. Think of all the businesses, all the services which are successful today. They are making you lazy. So if you think of anything in your business, think if you are going to make your customer do a little more work, he's not going to come back to you. You have to design your business in such a way that the customer doesn't have to do anything. Everything is given to him at his doorstep, in his pocket. He should not have the mindset to think, "Arey koi aur hai kya?" If I am giving copper to Aditi, she should not have time to think that is anybody there to give me copper, because I am making her lazy. So that should be the thought process of businesses. Make your customer lazy. You know, simple things. When I went to my college, you know, I had a bag which two people had to lift. Today, does anybody have a bag which cannot be taken on a wheel? Anybody? Nobody. Because it's making you lazy. Only things which will make you lazy will succeed in the future. Whether right or wrong, but that's how it is. That's how the world is. So, before I conclude, I'll add three more things. You know, we are in India today. Like, we should be very proud of being Jains. We should be even prouder of being in India today at this point in time. Why? Today we are in a country which has so much opportunity. There is so much opportunity. Our country is still today very young. So, the first opportunity I say is the low base. We all see the consumerism which is happening in US, but I think we should compare more with China. Today we are of the same population as China, and the production which we are doing in India today is so small. So small. The other day, there was a news article that India became the second largest producer of steel in the world. Wow! I became very happy. We became some 115 million tons. So I started seeing 3 is Germany, 4th is Japan, 5th is so and so, 6th is so and so. Then I saw who's the first. Obviously there is no doubt in anybody's mind, it is China. But you know the volume? China's steel production is equal to the next 9 put together. 1 is equal to 2 to 10. So there is no reason for us to feel proud. And the same is the situation in copper, the same is the situation as in power, in plastics and everything. So if we have to reach where China is in 20 years, which is not very difficult, we'll have to grow at 10 to 15% every year. So we have a great opportunity there. That is what I want you to all understand. The opportunity in this country is going to be huge because we are producing very, very little on a per capita basis. Next. One before that. 8. The second most important, everybody talks about it, demographics. Demographics, people talk about various things, but for me it is very simple. The number of people who are dependent compared to the number of people who are working. Simple. How many people in this room are working? I think it's less than 50%. I'm just saying it's less than 50% still. But in the country as a whole, we today have a situation where we have crossed that 50% mark. That more than 50% in this country are working. And this happened to us around somewhere around 2005, 2010. And what happened to various countries when this happened until? This happened to US in 1940s, the country grew. It happened to Japan in 1970s, Korea in 1980s and China in 1990s. It happened to us now. And those are the times when those countries really failed. So we are in that sweet spot where the demographics, the number of people who are working is going to help us grow at a very, very fast pace. The third, globalization and digitization. Today we are at a situation where globalization and digitization is at its peak in the world. Anything which can be done anywhere can be done sitting here in Bologna. Including your banking, including working for your customer, especially after work from home, this has become very important. Why this is important? Because today the salaries in India are still about 5% of that in US and still only about 20% of that in China. So if that is the situation, we have a long way to go. And having these three things together, low base, demographics and globalization is a killer. This doesn't happen once in a year. It doesn't happen once in a decade. It doesn't happen once even in a century. This is a once in a millennium opportunity which we in India have. So I urge all of you, as the topic says, think big, do big and achieve big. Thank you very much.
So superb सेशन. सर ऐसा लग रहा था कि आप बोलते जाएं, हम सुनते जाएं. It's pleasure कि जब कभी भी कोई दिल को छूने वाली बात हो जाती है, स्पेशली बिजनेस के, so many young entrepreneurs यहाँ पर हैं. There are so many watching online also. So उनके लिए जो है इतना जबरदस्त सुपर सेशन आपका है, तो जोरदार तालियां एक बार हमारे देवेंद्र सर के लिए.